Hello and welcome to another edition of Offset with Kinger and the Big Man, alongside the Big Man, that's Jay Caufield, and our buddy Dave Burkini. Got a little bit of a neck. Got a little bit of a neck. He's going to be doing one of these kind of.
And that's what happens when you
shot 79. Though,
a little massage, Jay.
I'm Rob King. Anyway, thanks very much for being with us here at the North Park Lounge in Cranberry. Also, want to thank our sponsor, Rourke Automotive. The Rourke Automotive Group and the Rourke Automotive Advantage offers lifetime engine warranty, lifetime state inspection, and lifetime oil changes on all vehicles purchased at Rourke.
That's our buddy Dave Rourke. They're outstanding service. I'm glad they're a part of us and supporting us.
Thank you, Dave Rourke. Thank you, Rourke Automotive Group. We appreciate it. And we want to get right to it by beginning with the British Open, right? Just concluded, and a lot of fun to watch the matches. First of all, I want to ask you guys, I've played over there, so not to be like that. I don't know if you've played in Ireland or Scotland. I know Jay is not. No. What do you think of the courses do you look at those courses? Like I look at Whistling Straits and think, I really want to play that course. Yeah. Do you look at those courses and think you want to play it, Jay, or you think like, okay, I'm good playing over here?
I thought that looked great the whole weekend, right? But they had great weather, right? So that's number one. The weather was great. I thought, listen, the way they attack it's different than the average person. So I think that one I liked. I liked the way it looked. I think imagine that there's 6,000 people in the town and they got 45,000 people a day. And on top of the practice rounds, everything going up to it. To me, they put on a great show. They had great weather. And I think that's one I would like to play.
I mean, I saw one of Scottie Scheffler's drives. It was 385. It had to roll to 85
right,
yards.
Yeah.
I love the roll in the drives.
Yeah.
That alone. It's a little bit, a little bit Oakmont with the bunkers where, getting some of those fairway bunkers you got to chip out. But I think it'd be a lot of fun, especially in those conditions. It looked picturesque on Saturday over the weekend. Just beautiful that, a little bit of wind, but no rain. And unlike Friday, I think they said Scottie had 4 wardrobe changes with changes in the weather. So, I would take that many clothes to do that, but I think it'd be a lot of fun.
So, by the way, the ground is somehow firm, and yet you could still get a divot, right? It's not like it's hitting it off of sand. I remember the first time I played over there, I played a course called North Berwick, and was struggling with my driver a little bit, and kind of hung on to one, like what would be basically like almost a shank, like a little low, shot down the middle where you don't fall about this high off the ground. And I let out a little bit of an expletive. And my caddy was like, "You're going to like this one." I'm like, "What do you mean I'm going to like this one?" It was like 285. It just kept rolling. I mean, I just basically shanked it and it just rolled right down the middle. The caddy was right. So it is a unique, different way of playing golf.
Well, I think one thing, we talked about Austin Lemieux over this time and what he's trying to do as far as his golf game. And he played over there trying to qualify for the British Open. But one of the things we talked about was the fescue. It's different than what we see here. It's almost wispy, if you will, at times. I'm not saying you still can't get into a bad spot. They got spotters everywhere to help you find the ball. But how many times did they say, "Oh, it's in a brutal spot," and you get up there and the guys are making a full swing,
right,
and
yeah.
It's wispy versus being, I'll use Allegheny Country Club as an example. The fescue in the first 5 yards, inside of it, it's thick, it's deep. But I think you see them get out of so many things that would be trouble for the normal golfer. But that is one thing. Their fescue is like a wispy kind of feel. They get on it, they can find it, and then they get after it. So kind of like Rory McIlroy with the second ball popping up, which
that was weird. But by the way, I will also say this, another personal experience. The last time I played North Berwick, which by the way is a great course south of Edinburgh, I played with a foursome, and it was my son Schaefer and I, and then 2 other guys. And you hit balls in there, and you're like, "Oh my goodness, we're not going to be able to find them." We found every ball except one. The ball I hit into the fescue on 10 after a very good front 9. I was not very happy about that. We looked and we couldn't find it because now it was waist deep and thick. So you're right. To your point, you don't know. I mean, you get it in there, great lie. You get it in there, and the thing with Rory McIlroy, with the ball popping up in the air, I've never seen anything like that. Rory said he'd never seen anything like that.
No, then it coming up waist high, it's kind of wild. I mean, they focused in on it, and you saw his reaction to it, and I don't know. It kind of looks to me, going back to what your point about what it's like playing over there. I've never done it. I don't really have, the flight over all that, but when you see it and the backdrop and everything that was around it, that looked like one place that I think I would like to play. And I think they're trying, Rory McIlroy trying to push to get it back there a little bit quicker, not wait so many years, and hopefully it gets back there a little sooner, probably inside of his time frame in his career, because certainly the fan base around him and how gracious they seem to be with everybody. But I think for him, that was a pretty special week to be in basically his hometown.
Yeah, some of those courses over there are like North Berwick, which I mentioned a couple of times, is flatter and kind of just flatter. When I say flatter, it's like you might have a lie like this or downhill, or they didn't move any dirt, right? It's just ground. That's just the ground. Some of them you have these massive dunes, and it's really like Ballybunion in Ireland and Cruden Bay that are just. Anyway, I loved it, but I've talked to golfers that have gone over there. Like, I didn't know if I'd love it. I went over there, and Jay, I've talked to you about this. Yeah. I loved it. Other people, I talked to a friend of mine, a huge golf fan, who just went over on a trip over there, and he's like, they're great, but I'd rather play in America. So,
yeah, I understand that part too. I like the sign ahead. It was forged by nature, which is what you were talking about everywhere. And you think about that and how realistic it is. And yeah, look, so you got to want to be in the travel. You got to want to deal with the elements. I mentioned that the weather was good late in the week. And it was. I mean, when Scottie Scheffler, you almost could have said right then when the weather was no major wind, there was no bad weather coming in, and he wasn't going to give up. That he wasn't giving anything away.
Right.
So to me, but it looked beautiful.
I know one thing Jay wouldn't like was the 6-hour first round.
No,
how?
yeah. I do that. I think that's something. Listen, for me, so just. Maryland, you're the same way. We all play with Maryland, right?
Play fast.
Yeah, like you can be good, you can be bad, but you can at least move and just move along. Now that's
don't need a practice swing before every shot. They are some advice for you.
So we talked about this yesterday when we were playing our little round of golf on a Sunday morning at Allegheny. We did yesterday, but one of the topics came up was about play, right? So I think number one, Oakmont. If you walk, they're 4 hours. You got it done in 4 hours. If not, they send out the cart of shame to pick you up and move you along, right? If you don't make the turn in the right time, they're on you. I think it should be, I'm not sure why. I think one of the mistakes, I think courses allowing people to play in 4 hours and 12 minutes or some number like that. I don't understand that. I really don't. Like, if you're out there and you're a foursome and you're leading the way, why is it taking you that long to play that? Especially with the carts, with everything on it. You have a whole screen that's telling you where everything's at, the distances. I'm not a fan. If I don't know how the golfers are, I think that mental toughness as far as a golfer goes to play a 6.5 hour round when it's your livelihood. Now, it's one thing. You're grinding out there. So that's unbelievable. I think they're going to come up with ideas. I saw DeChambeau had an idea, put everybody on the clock, whatever it is. I mean, have a timer on it. I don't know what's going to be the correct thing. But for me, and even just a local round, it shouldn't have to be that long. If there's nobody in front of you, it shouldn't be. If you're in a cart and you have a screen that gives you all the GPS systems, I'm not sure why it's taking that long. And I said, good, bad, and different. If you're a great golfer, that's one. But even if you're not up to, like, if you're not a great golfer and you're just move along, just move. You watch people sit in a cart. 2 people drive up and they wait till that guy hits, then they drive over to here. It's drop off. Go over to your ball, or leave the cart and walk to your ball, then keep moving. I don't understand. I think the mistake is made initially by the courses allowing it to be, well, they're inside the time frame of 4 hours and 6 minutes. Well, the rest of the course is backed up.
Well, we also see you're watching on TV, and the average golfer might not play that much golf. Maybe they're out on a Sunday league or whatever. What do they see? Practice swings, discussions about the shot, walking around your putt as you're going to putt the ball.
Well, that's true. Now, look, in public and private course, I mean, to your point, not everybody plays the game. Not everybody's played the game of golf. You go out there so as to enjoy it. But one thing that will take it away, in Dave's point, a 6.5 hour round that would do that. But they're also playing from the tips, the very back of every course they play. But every
walking,
and walking.
Right. But Oakmont, you're walking 8 miles when you're playing Oakmont?
But our long rounds are usually due to looking for lost golf balls too. They're not losing many golf balls. They have a lot of spots that play. And what I don't like is you're playing. There's a group in front of you. They hit one directly left in the woods, and they're looking for it.
Right.
You're not going to find it. Just take your penalty.
Drop a ball and move on. Yeah. So,
well, I'm going to throw one with it. It's the guy. I have more right there. It's the guy maybe that hits out of bounds or thinks he's going to find it. It's not a lost ball, but then he doesn't hit a provisional.
Right.
And then comes back to the tee and hits another one. Like, all right, that's where. I don't know. We can go on and on about this, but we're just
not going to be paid at the end of the round.
No. We're not going to get paid.
Just enjoy
the day.
Your game.
Why are we out there? It's beautiful. It's 75 degrees, and you want to get done. Well, how quick are we getting done? That's what it's all about.
I would pay to see Jade play with Brian Harmon. Have you seen Brian Harmon? He's the one that does the wiggle.
Oh, yeah, right.
15 wiggles before each swing.
No, yeah.
Would not go well with Jay.
Okay, so we've gotten our piece in about that. Now,
Yes.
Scottie Scheffler, he is starting to get into a different territory as a player. He's won 3 out of the 4 majors. And where does he stand? Where does he begin to stand? Now, we're still going to have to see more. Like we were having this discussion about Jordan Spieth, for example, a few years ago, and now Jordan Spieth is struggling to win majors and win golf tournaments. So right now, Scottie Scheffler looks like he's ready to jump into that really good player to maybe just kind of being the man that everybody's got to beat, and that puts you in a little different category. Puts you into the category, of we're not ready to go Nicklaus and Woods yet, but Watson, Trevino, other great players that felt like every time they went out, they were going to win a major, had a chance to win a major.
Dave, you want to go first on this?
Did you see Xander Schauffele's quote after the round?
I did not.
He says, I don't think we thought the golfing world would see if someone as dominant as Tiger's come through so soon. And here's Scottie Scheffler, that throne of dominance. So he made the reference. I mean, Xander Schauffele's not a bad golfer.
Right.
Too. So I look back, they say that his best stretch was late 99 through 2001. So you compare the two. Scheffler this year, 4 wins, 2 majors, 13 top 10s, and 16 events. Go back to last year, 7 wins, 1 major, 2 runner-ups, 16 top 10s. Tiger in 2000, 9 PGA wins, 4 runner-ups, 3 of those were majors. So he's not to that. Again, you could talk about that. We've talked in previous podcasts about the competition too. I think Scottie's got a lot more competition at the top line competition he's dealing with week in, week out than Tiger to deal with. But it's when the other top players start to take notice and throw a Tiger reference out there, you got to listen.
I think Rob and I mentioned, we talked about the other day, but it was 1,197 days from the first major that Scottie Scheffler won to his 4th. Tiger Woods was the exact same number, 1,197 days. Now, the ages are different and everything that's going on with it. I think that's one thing. That's just an ironic thing. The other thing that came into play was, I believe he's had 11 wins inside of 2 years. And Tiger Woods, so if we want to see it, for people who are making comparisons, he wants nothing to do with that, by the way. I mean, right. Scottie Scheffler, if I was a player, I wouldn't want anything to do with it.
Absolutely.
I mean, you want to hear, they all will say he's the best in the world. You don't want that even on your back or hovering over you. I think probably he does a great enough job of keeping that away from himself. But, dude, there's a lot of other players that have had that label a little bit like, are you coming along? You just mentioned Jordan Spieth. And what happens to them? That's a lot of pressure to be able to hold that up. But I mentioned about 11 wins inside of 2 years. He's now done it. Tiger Woods did it 5 times.
Yeah.
Jack Nicklaus and Arnold Palmer did it twice, but Tiger Woods 5 times. So there's really no. I mean, but how he's running away with it. I think if we're all watching it, I watched it yesterday or the other day. I watched it yesterday thinking that. I don't want to see somebody run away with it. I want it to be good television, good theater. There was not even a chance that was going to change. No. Even with it, when he rolled into he had 2 par putt saves that were over 20 feet, right? When he rolls them in, and you could saw the excitement with them. No, other guys aren't doing that. They back up. He didn't. Even with the double he had, Rob, he comes right back with a birdie.
Yeah.
That's the difference for me. When watching Tiger Woods, that's what it was like. In that fashion, like you're watching him and go, what's he going to give up? He's not giving up anything. Also, his 4 majors, he's won by over 3 strokes.
Yeah, and a couple things to point out. Like I bring up Tom Watson, and Watson to me kind of gets sometimes forgotten among the pantheon of great players. But remember, he got the yips, right? He probably had 4 more majors in him, and then we would be talking about him as maybe, almost a Nicklaus type of guy. What he would 8 majors, I think. I mean, if he wins 12, we're probably having a slightly different conversation, but he got the yips.
Yeah.
Jordan Spieth, for whatever reason, he looked calm, cool, collected, like he was going to win majors for years, like he might be the next guy. Yeah. And again, he might rediscover his game. We don't know that. But I think the larger thing for me, as I hope Scheffler keeps this up, because I look at golf and tennis the same way, and I think I mentioned this before. It's great when you have either one dominant player everybody's chasing or 2 dominant players who are battling, Tiger and Phil. We saw it at we're seeing it now in tennis. We just saw one great stretch of tennis end, and now we're seeing Sinner and Alcaraz look like they're going to be a tremendous rivalry that makes you, as a, maybe you're not a tennis fan, but maybe you won't say, look, these guys are playing again. I might check out the U.S. Open final. Same thing with golf. I think it's really good for the game when you have a guy, either someone's going to challenge him or he's going to be the guy that everybody else tries to reel in, like it kind of was with Tiger Woods.
Yeah, I don't see any. First of all, I agree. I don't see any hatred though. There's no like battle. Like there's no like Arnie and Jack, what that was about, right? Yeah, Tiger, Phil, all the things that went along with this. So I do think it's, Dave mentioned a point about the competition and what it's going to be like. Young kids today coming up, they just bomb the ball. They just hit it so far. So who has that ability to kind of put that all together and challenge somebody like what Scottie Scheffler is doing? You know, I don't know. I mean, but it's going to be a test. And I do think the weight of, I think he's handling it differently than anybody else. Even that interview he did, you know, that I won. What's the matter? 2 minutes. I enjoy it. I move on. Yeah. That was a different interview than
it really was
anybody else has ever talked about. So, you know, Dave, it's for me, I find it to stay at the top on anything. When you were the best, that's what elite. Mario, elite. Even with everything on them, they deliver. You know, all the great players in every sport, Jordan, all the ones you can want to talk about. But for me, at golf, and it's you doing it, you know, the elements, the breaks that go with it, what he's doing right now is pretty special. And it's kind of funny. I think the other stat was, I think in his first 70 events, no wins. The last 79, he's got 17 wins and 4 majors.
It's incredible.
It's figuring out probably, right? Inside your game.
Maturing, figuring things out. Okay, so let's talk about the Steelers. We always like to talk about the Steelers. Camp opening up, TJ Watt signed. I think that's a big thing to get out of the way, Dave. To get TJ Watt signed. I know you weren't here for the last time when we talked about that trade. I'd like to get your thoughts on the trade. But let's talk about TJ Watt first, because he comes in and, you know, he's been their guy. That his teammates were vocal about getting him signed and getting him back in the fold. And now here he is, ready to go, signed and ready to start camp.
Yeah, you don't want those questions. You don't want Tomlin being asked every single day about TJ Watt. You want the focus to be on the team and the upcoming season. So that's a big deal. And, you know, he's the leader of the defense. And I was wrong. I was under the assumption that, you know, because you watch Steelers games and, you know, TJ Watt will get bruised or exit the game for a little bit. I always thought TJ Watt misses a lot of games. It's only 1 year where he missed more than one game in the season. So he's in there and he's productive. Since he entered the league in 2017, the most sacks of any NFL player, even more than Myles Garrett. So the productivity there, and what's always impressed me about him, and I'm not a big Steelers fan, just his ability to make plays. You know, even when he's out of the play, his hustle and the ability for strip sacks or fumbles and just, you know, he makes a ton of plays, and I think it's a good thing for him to be in camp, and just, you don't want any distractions going into training camp.
For me, if I'm on that defense, you just all of a sudden got 4 inches taller and everything that goes with it. You got your boys, you have everybody back in the fold, plus your additions, and also in that locker room, they know whether people agree with a number or whatever it is, pay for past performance. That's the way it goes. You know, what he's been and what he's done in his career. But for me, if you're on that defense, you're in that locker room, you know, management, everybody's behind you on what they're doing. That's how I feel. Like, if it's like, you got to sign you got to sign the guys to keep it on a roll. You bring in Aaron Rodgers. It's a 1-year shot. What are they going to do? But you couldn't deplete. You couldn't take away the one guy that disrupts and people have to plan around on your defense. To me, if I'm in that locker room and I'm on the defensive side, they're all thrilled.
You know, Jay, I think it's going to be extremely interesting to see how the Steelers deploy their defense. There was some talk last year about, do you move TJ Watt around? Has the defense become too predictable? But we know that football is a team sport. So what's happening on your back end? You know, can you blitz more guys? Do you have faith in your back end? And I don't know whether that was a part of the reason that they didn't blitz more or not. I have no idea. But when you look at, you bring TJ Watt back, but now you make that trade to get Jalen Ramsey. You signed Darius Slay. You have Joey Porter Jr. let's face it. I mean, safeties are nice and safeties are important, and we've seen Minkah have a big impact. Troy Polamalu was utilized like no safety ever in the history of the NFL. But when you just talk about, if you ask a general manager, what do you want on your team? Well, you want pass rushers and you want corners. The Steelers now have pass rushers and corners. I'm really intrigued about what they might do defensively, schematically this year.
Yeah. If you don't have one of the two you just mentioned, you're in trouble. Right? If you don't have a good pass rush, you could have the best corners in the world, and you're not. The athletes are too good. They get too open. The quarterbacks are it's too precise. You'll get eaten up if you give them too much time, right? So I think they did everything they needed to do, and the camp coming up. To me, you had to have it done, and they're done, and now they should really feel the. I would assume going into this camp, Robin, you're going to be there every day with it. Going into this camp is going to be one of the more exciting times in quite some time.
Yeah, now they get to, instead of asking about T.J. Watt, they get to ask about Aaron Rodgers every day. So that'll certainly be interesting, and I'm certain now all the eyes are going to be on him as opposed to T.J. Watt. You know, if he held out or came in day two, that's all that stuff's out the window. Before we talk about just the general excitement around the city and around the NFL, you weren't hearing the Jonnu Smith thing. Look, you know, there's been talk about, do you need to go out and get a second wide receiver or a third wide receiver on this team? I think Jonnu Smith's going to play a ton, and I think he's a really good fit for Arthur Smith's offense. Arthur Smith still wants to be able to run the ball. You know, he said, look, you don't bring in Aaron Rodgers to have him, you know, put the ball in a running back's belly, 50 times a game. I understand that, but it's still within the framework of his offense. Jonnu Smith as a pass catcher and a blocker in that slot position. Now you get to move him out because you have Freiermuth and Washington inside. Schematically and ability-wise, I just think it's a great fit with a really good player.
Yeah, the talk's been who's going to be that wide receiver on the other side of DK Metcalf, and not that John is playing on the outside, but she said moving the slot. I mean, he's a threat, and last year was really his first year where he was playing with a legit quarterback at Tua, and he only had Tua for 11 games. Tyler Huntley was playing for the other 5 games, and he had 88 receptions on 111 targets. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
I mean, he came in the league with Tennessee. Ryan Tannehill, was there when Arthur Smith was in Tennessee with him, so not a great quarterback there. I go back to 2023 with Atlanta. It's when they had Desmond Ridder as a quarterback. And remember, they had Kyle Pitts, who was a first-round pick just a year before that. He still put up 50 receptions on 70 targets. So he's going to play a lot with Freiermuth. And now here he is playing with a quarterback at the caliber of Aaron Rodgers. It's going to be interesting because he hasn't really, other than last year with Tua, like I said, for a small sample size, he hasn't played with a legit quarterback in his career.
Yeah. Jay, just the excitement around the city,
Yeah.
and around the NFL. The fact that the NFL has basically kept itself as, I want to say 12 months, maybe 11 months of absolute front page stuff. They take a little break in July, the end of June into July when camps wrap up. But the way the NFL has become just a juggernaut of news and excitement for the fans, and it's fun to be part of it. And it's fun when camp opens because people get fired up about it. They'll be getting in their car and driving to Latrobe and watching practice.
No, I think it's as long as I've been here, and even when I was a kid in Philly, in the Philly area, there was something about it. It was a new training camp, but being here and then being part of, like, I always looked at it, once the Steelers training camp fell, then your training camp was next, right? The Penguins camp was up and your fun starts to diminish, right? Because it's like, oh my God, you got to ramp everything up. But the excitement, you're right, Rob, the excitement around it, the excitement even as a player, the grind as a player, camp's coming up, what you're dealing with, 2 days, everything that goes with it, your conditioning. It's a whole different beast, a different animal when you're coming along. But as far as a fan base, we're a couple months from being here and doing our NFL auction like we do every year, right in this same place. It's something we all can't wait. When football season ends, that Super Bowl's done, you're like, Jesus. What do we got next? The playoffs are still a little bit away in the NHL and everything that goes with that, but it's a long time, and it comes out now. We're a month and a half away from it, and as Al saying, I think all camps starting up, it gives it's going to give us even so much more to talk about, just the everyday workings of it. But there's not a better time, and we all can't wait we don't want summer to end, but we can't wait for football to start.
Yeah, and when you talk about football ending, and it is sad. It feels like a void in your life. No. I remember back in college, before they had Thursday night football, they'd get to remember they broke out super slow-mo. They had like super slow-mo. They did, and I thought I'd like to see the entire Monday night football game on super slow-mo because I don't want the week to end. Just play the whole thing. It'd be a 9-hour game. I'm okay with that. Watch on super slow-mo.
Well, the gambling world really takes a hit. You start seeing a bet on bocce matches, and then it's in trouble because there's nothing left after football. Oh. That is a huge. I mean, you've got all that. You got I think the best after football, the first thing everybody looks at is March Madness, right?
Right.
If you're in that world and you're spinning, but it truly is when it comes around. It can't come around quick enough for the fan. Right?
It's amazing. Everything about it's amazing.
Yeah, and here in Pittsburgh, I said it's been the talk.
Right.
Here's been the talk. The draft coming up next year. So much to look forward to, but certainly with camp starting up, Dave, Rob.
Even if you're a Seattle fan, you might be excited about your camp opening up.
I can't believe it's here already. I mean, it feels like my kid just got out of school.
Right.
We are almost at the end of July.
Should you really go back to school before Labor Day? No. Kids should not go back to school before Labor Day. Well, why is that happening?
Well, we grew up in a little different. I mean, it was after Labor Day for me. Certainly. We also had to grow up in upstate New York. You also had about 20 snow days that they had to factor in every year. So, but no, it's exciting. It's exciting to get football started.
Here's what I want to know: is Aaron Rodgers going to be on the blocking sled in training camp? You think?
On a blocking?
No,
sled?
that's how you get.
Russell Wilson got hurt last year.
Oh,
with this calf.
Yeah, no, I don't think
so. Rob, before we get off really quick, everything we talked about, but the offensive line is the offensive line.
That's going to be the biggest question.
Because your running game, you need a running game to keep everybody honest, right? You have to have that balance of both. But as the offensive line, if you look at this right now, that is going to be, as you're going into camp and as you get into camp, that's going to be the big thing. Because if you don't give them time, you don't open holes,
right?
Everything we're talking about here can kind of get blown out of the water.
I agree. Every team, and this is the thing. Look, and this is what's great about sports in general. Like, everybody sees their own warts, and you get in the mirror, you're a kid, you're like, oh my gosh, I have that pimple, I've had to take a red. Like, everybody sees it in the mirror closer because that's what you're looking at, right? So everybody sees the pimples and the warts on their own team. Every team has them. There's not a team going into camp right now saying, oh man, we are just in deep trouble. We have way too many good players. Nobody's saying that, right?
No.
Everybody's got weaknesses. And again, we'll see. I mean, when you talk about the offensive line, for sure, you want to run the ball, you want to protect Aaron Rodgers. Well, you're moving your right tackle to left tackle. Your first round pick a year ago, who won that job in camp but got hurt and basically didn't play. He's starting at right tackle. So sure, you have a second-year starter at center, a second-year starter at right guard. Of course, you have questions, but there's pedigree and talent there. I mean, pedigree from the college ranks and talent. So we'll see, right?
Yep.
That's why they play the games, right? To check it out.
That's it.
So, hey, we're excited about the Rorik Automotive Group and the Rorik Advantage, and them being a sponsor for us. Again, you purchase a vehicle there, they offer lifetime engine warranty, lifetime state inspections, lifetime oil changes, and
it is a great service. Yep. Seriously, they do a wonderful job, and they're there, and it's something to when decisions come to be made. And Dave's doing a great job, and we're really thrilled that he's here supporting us.
Yep. Our thanks to Rorik Automotive Group, the Rorik Advantage. And again, we want to thank our folks at One Team for putting this production together for us. And we want to thank you for watching. For Jay Caufield, Dave Ricchini, I'm Rob King. Thanks for watching this edition of Offset with Kinger and the Big Man.